I'm Mark Murphy, president of your local Charger Bank, and I don't just break change, I break it down. Hit it!
Charger Bank. Charger Bank. Charger Bank, it's the place to be. We run the school like Monopoly. Our policy is the best. Put your cash in our hands and your mind at rest. All the kids are so nice, and the president is cool as ice. So please leave your money here, create an account, and we'll all cheer. Charger Bank. Charger Bank.
The most exciting part of being a junior to me was definitely getting our rings for senior year. Because let's be real, junior year sucks. Last Thursday, Bullitt East was full of proud parents, crying moms, mad siblings because they had to be there, and impatient people. Getting through hundreds of kids one by one is a long process. Junior class on not losing your rings before you graduate next year. Prom was last Saturday, and it's safe to say that it was a hit. We have Mr. Kelty to thank for the amazing music, Miss Walker and prom committee for going through all the stress of planning it, and everyone else involved. The big reveal. Our own Matthew Bryant and Reagan Williams were crowned king and queen of prom. I asked Amber McKnight how she felt on the night. It was a success overall. After prom was really fun too. It was a night to remember.
I say something. You like jazz?
Next up is our former main anchor, William, with electoral dysfunction.
Ah, yes, prom, that was very nice. All right, I didn't go. This is electoral dysfunction.
Wrong?
I think they're wrong 100%. Sometimes they're wrong. They were wrong. Sometimes they're wrong. It's the New York Times. They're always wrong. Well, I would say my wife tells me I'm wrong all the time.
President Trump is tripping over more hurdles this week, but this time they're falling down the entirety of the Republican Party harder than ever. We've been hearing about this GOP healthcare bill for what seems like forever, but only recently have we saw the actual plan in plain view. Republicans have been doing their best to hinder Obamacare at any turn for the past 7 years, and even now with a controlled Senate, House, and White House, it still couldn't be done. Regardless of your opinion on anything, this is an embarrassment for not only Trump's administration, but for the entirety of the GOP. The bill was pulled last Friday by Speaker of the House Paul Ryan without a single vote even being cast. This is fresh off the heels of President Trump threatening to drop the health care reform issue if the votes weren't there, and it seems that they definitely weren't. So, now what? Well, it seems like Obamacare is sticking around for a bit longer. May the drama resume. Trump is stuck between a rock and a hard place here, and it's not entirely his fault necessarily. His voters and his party have divided as far as this issue goes, and the fear of losing coverage is no doubt a fear on their minds. The bill wasn't conservative enough for the far right, nor liberal enough for the far left, and moderates have been dropping off in droves over potential voter backlash. While I personally didn't love the changes in the GOP plan, I have to admit that it was far more of a compromise than one could have expected from the party. Though in this current state of affairs, a compromise will not get you anywhere. And this event is a perfect example. Repeal and replace, more like conceal and stay in place. Last Wednesday, March 22nd, 2017, over 50 people were injured and 4 killed in a terrorist attack on the Westminster Bridge in London, England. At 2:40 in the afternoon, the attacker barreled down the bridge at high speeds, taking down as many people as possible before crashing into the railings of Parliament Yard and bursting through the gates of the Palace of Westminster. With 2 large knives in hand, the attacker stabbed a police officer before being shot down by another. This was no doubt a tragedy. I bring it up here, though, because no doubt it will become political. Terrorism is a hot-button issue at the moment, and whenever something horrible like this happens, we come to expect the bickering and agenda-pushing before the bodies are even cold. All I'd like to do today, though, is honor the victims whose lives were so brutally and unnecessarily affected, or even ended, by this horrible act. To the families of the departed, Aisha Frade, Kirk Cockrell, Leslie Rhodes, Keith Palmer, and to all those injured or in critical condition, our hearts go out to you. Now to Matt and Jarrett with the Red Zone Sports Report.
Do it. Charger way. Thank you for that beautiful tribute, William. Our thoughts and prayers go out to the families and victims. I'm Matthew.
I'm Jared.
This is your Red Zone Sports Report.
Charger baseball is off to a hot start this season, but had a rough game last week and this week. The Chargers took on the always tough Ballard High School and South Oldham. They were set to play the number 1 team in the state, St. Xavier, but due to the weather, the game was canceled. These were all tough games for the Chargers, but I asked senior Jake Reese on his thoughts about the stretch, and he told me that, I love these games. Playing against some of our rivals and the best teams in the state really helps show us what we need to work on and gets us prepared to go far in the postseason. The Chargers will look to continue with their hot bats and hopefully continue winning.
Psych! That's the wrong number!
The Bullet East baseball team picked up another key victory last Thursday night. They squeaked out against DeSales with a 9-8 win. After a commanding 6-0 lead by the Chargers, DeSales was let back into the game. Jared Rinaldi started the game on the mound for the Chargers. He pitched 3 strong innings before surrendering a few consecutive hits in the 4th. Lane Davis relieved him and did a good job of limiting the damage. Lane didn't get much help from his defense as the Chargers made a few errors behind him. After Lane, Michael Lowbred stepped on the hill for the 7th inning. DeSales tried to make a comeback, but Lowbred shut the door as he struck out the last batter for the win. Coach Bowles addressed the team with this quote, "We should have gotten out of there in 5. All in all, a win is a win." During spring break, the Chargers will travel to Disney World for the 11th year in a row to play at Disney's Wild World of Sports complex.
Let's take a look at some highlights from last week's victory against DeSales.
This concludes your Red Zone Sports Report.
Now on to Plugged In with Kyle and Garrett.
Hey, I'm Kyle.
Oh, I'm Garrett. Let's get plugged in.
Last Thursday, the U.S. Senate passed a vote to eliminate the ISP privacy rules set by the FCC last year. These privacy rules stop ISPs from collecting your browsing history and sharing data and selling them to advertisers. These rules will have to be voted on by the House of Representatives and passed by the President before they're being eliminated. If these rules are eliminated, ISPs will be able to sell their customers' private internet data to anybody, from advertisers to other private companies. Senator Ed Markey said the following about the vote. President Trump may be outraged by the fake violations on his own privacy, but every American should be alarmed by the very real violation of their own privacy as a result of the Republicans' rollback of the broadband privacy protections.
Here's Johnny!
Congratulations to wrestling fans in Kentucky. After 7 years, one of the biggest wrestling companies in the world, the WWE, is finally allowed to film their live televised events without having to meet our strict guidelines. This change was put into action because the new Kentucky Wrestling and Boxing Commission changed the rules from blood being shown either on accident or on purpose would immediately cause the contest to stop. The new rule now is blood is allowed as long as the KWBC is notified when the spots will occur. Wrestling fanatic and BHS student Martin Parrish told me, "I just recently got back into wrestling, so to get in at what seems like a perfect time, I feel very excited. The first show will be held April 18th at the KFC Yum Center."
Stand back! There's a hurricane coming through!
A rumor around Blizzard Games has been stirring for quite some time now. The rumor that has been stirring is a classic StarCraft, a remaster of classic StarCraft. Blizzard unveiled a new StarCraft remastered last Saturday, and it's set for a summer 2017 launch. More info has come out from Blizzard about the remastered, including a 4K friendly release. All the 2D graphics are redrawn, but the tactics and the gameplay of the original has stayed the exact same. I, for one, as a fan of StarCraft series, am really excited for the release of this summer.
Scarlett Johansson addressed the controversy surrounding her casting in The Ghost in the Shell, based on the Japanese manga and anime. In a new interview for the March issue of Mare Claire, "I certainly would never presume to play another race of a person," she said. "Diversity is important in Hollywood, and I would never want to feel like I was playing a character that was offensive. Also, having a franchise with a female protagonist driving it is such a rare opportunity," she continued. "Certainly, I feel the enormous pressure of that, the weight of such a big property on my shoulders. The film came under fire when Paramount announced Johansson as the Major, a half-human, half-cyborg agent hunting down criminals for the Elite Task Force Section 9. The character's Japanese roots in the source material sparked claims of the whitewashing around the movie's adaptation. Further inflaming the backlash was a report claiming the producers ran tests that were later scrapped to make the actors appear Asian. The studio stated Johansson wasn't involved in any of those tests." And now to yours truly with the Field Report. Every year, rock bands come and go. With this brings the changing and redefining of the genre. Over the years, these bands have rose and fell off the charts numerous times, and while some bands are a common word in our vocabulary, some have been forgotten. As the younger generation comes through Boldy's, names like Chick, Depeche Mode, Electric Light Orchestra, Jane's Addiction, Journey, Pearl Jam, The Cars, Tupac, and Yes are forgotten. This is also a small portion of the list of nominees for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is a place where the greats are memorialized, and this is why we wanted to see if our Chargers really do remember the greats. Do you know any of those bands?
Yes. Yes, I do.
Alright, and out of those bands, could you name any of them that you particularly enjoy?
Electric Light Orchestra, Journey, Tupac.
Alright, and do you have any bands that you personally think should be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
I don't know. Tupac.
And there you have it.
Well, that's this week's Charger Report. Thank you for watching, and we all hope you feel a little more informed for doing so.
I'm Will.
I'm Will. I'm William.
I'm William.
And I'm William.
And I've been William. Thank you for watching, and go Chargers. Have a nice spring break.
Stick to the Becn, get ready to ignite.